Good evening to all. Welcome back to second session of air conditioning and refrigeration.
Yes.
So last session, I think we have some 29, 30 slides. So I was actually preparing some similar number of slides till yesterday. But what happened yesterday was I, along with my daughter, went for a art show. So I'm from engineering background. My daughter is studying in 5th standard. So art is something which I don't understand actually. But I went with her. She likes arts. So we are going through the show. The show is from Mr. Sadish's very close friend. So I was just trying to ask doctor whether she is understanding something or another thing. I was trying to gauge her understanding. And what surprised me is like what she was understanding about art is much more than what I was imagining or I was expecting. Then I suddenly realized that what this is summarized is what there's a proverb called child is the father of man. So it's like the grown-up people always believe that the child knows certain part only, and we need to teach them everything. But then I realized that actually the children knows much more than what we are actually thinking. So what I done, I actually scrapped all my slides, put very few slides, because what the children knows from there we can keep discussing and developing into or try to explain the air conditioning in the current thing. So there may not be much slides this time, or I'm not trying to judge the children's knowledge from my point of view. So request everybody to be involved in this thing, to express your known, to explain the unknown to you. So this is one. So we're trying to understand your known to unknown. That is what we're trying to explore in this. So this is what we actually discussed in last class, how the air conditioning works and some of the laws or principles which is applied in air conditioning. One is called, we learned about ideal gas equation, where the pressure volume proportionate to temperature is one of the basic laws which the air conditioning system works, or how the properties of air, which is more or less we can say in terms of latent heat and sensible heat. The latent heat is when a liquid or a vapor changes its phase. Ice melting to water, water becoming steam, where the large quantity of heat energy is absorbed or rejected. Sensible heat is the change in temperature when we boils the water, or when the temperature change can be sensed through a thermometer kind of apparatus. So we understand in air conditioning, there is a room or outside where the heat energy is absorbed from one part of the room, and with a mechanical or external energy we push into outside. And in last class we had some assignments which has been shared. It is very happy to see that the assignment has been answered of air conditioning. Mr. Willis H. Carrier is on. So his contribution is not, he developed the air conditioning, the mechanical aspects of the air conditioning. But more than that, his main contribution is he has identified, yes, tell me.
There was a big hand of Benjamin Franklin.
Yes. So that I was telling that the mechanical aspect, the combined system of air conditioning was developed. Is actually he identified the properties of air, various aspects. So that is the basics of air conditioning. So we explained in last class that it's all about managing the air conditioning. Managing the air. Air conditioning is managing the air. Managing the properties of air. That includes the humidity, water content, the temperature, and the pressure related to that. That is what we do into that. So that part is already answered. We are not getting more into how he developed the air conditioner or the properties of air side. So that is in generally called it a psychrometric chart, where the relationship of humidity, temperature of air. That is called psychrometric chart. That is the basic chart which explains about the properties of air at various temperature at various humidity ranges. So before getting much further, what is the best natural air conditioner? Yes.
Sir, I'm not sure. Is it fan?
Pardon me?
Fan?
Fan? No, I'm talking about natural air conditioner, which is naturally occurring in the occurring naturally, not human made, not man made.
Wind?
Any other guesses? Wild guess?
Is it rain? Rain.
Rain.
Yeah.
Rain, yeah, if you see Earth as a complete ecosystem, yes, rain is part of managing the temperature and that particular area. Yes, so that is basically called water cycle. Rain, evaporation from sea, condensation, that is also there. So that is when you see in a bigger, bigger canvas. Let us bring it within the Earth, not Earth as a whole. Any guesses? So I'll just come back again. Air conditioning is moving or maintaining the properties of air. So it is like moving energy from one side to other side to maintain our desired temperature. So it can be moving energy from one part to the other part, one side to other side, one body to other body. Basically movement of heat energy by various ways.
Is it wind?
Yes, wind is a part of natural air conditioning. Yes, yes. So it is like wind, rain, thunder, lightning. All this comes as a part of it. When you see complete Earth, less than that. Okay, I'll come back. What happens when we feel cold? What happens when we feel warm? So every living organism has a varying the body temperature. So the best natural air conditioner is body, human, I say human body or any natural organism. So let us take example of human body. So when we feel cold, we sit very close. So what we are seeing, we are protecting the heat energy generated from our body by reducing our total exposure to the atmosphere. So actually there are very less space for the heat energy to escape from our body. We cover our body with more clothes. If you see the animals, their fur stands up so that there is a very less space for the heat energy to escape. When it is summer cooled, we like to move our hands away to keep more air to move through our body. We sweat. What happens in sweating? The water comes out through our sweat glands. It uses the temperature on our skin to evaporate. So when it is evaporates, our body feel cool, evaporative cooling. So last class we discussed about water kept it in a
Yes, sir.
so that is called evaporative cooling. When water evaporates, it takes heat energy from the body where it is touching. So in types of a mud pot, it touches the pot. So the pot will become cooler than the ambient condition. In terms of human body, it takes heat from our skin. So our skin feel cooler. So that is the way we maintain the temperature. So organisms are the best natural air conditioners. Any other thought on this? You can think about anything else.
Seen one video like they told when you told about mud pot, I remembered like terracotta they use for air conditioning. Terracotta.
Terracotta.
Like long tubes they make.
Yes. That's all. See, till 1902, till Willis H. Carrier development, the humans were using evaporative cooling for the air conditioning aspects. So one is called evaporative cooling. Second was movement of air. So if you look into the Persian architecture, or basically in India, the kind of architecture where we have huge, like Qutub Minar kind of architecture. I'm saying where you are huge towers rising up. So these kind of architecture is in dry climates, which basically came from the Persian architecture, which originated somewhere in the Middle East regions all time. So what these towers used to do, the air comes out, it creates a tunnel, and the air which goes out creates a pressure, less pressure on the top. So more air from the desert which comes through, which passes through the windows. Windows are small opening. When it passes with a little higher pressure than the atmospheric pressure, it expands inside the room. So the room will feel cooler. So the experiment which last time we had done, blowing into our hands, the two bars. So these were the two type of air conditioner used till 1902, when Willis H. Carrier invented the mechanical air conditioning, where we use a mechanical energy to move the refrigerant from one side to the other side into that. Till that time, it was there. Coming back to this topic of natural air conditioner, there is one more thing which is their human body or every organism does to maintain the temperature. It's like metabolism. During winter or cold seasons, we eat more because our body uses more metabolic activities to generate heat to maintain our body temperature. So this happens in organisms which is awake during winter season. So if you go back to polar bears, which is purely living in Arctic, Antarctic region, completely ice-covered region, so they tend to sleep for 6 months, 8 months. So what they do, they reduces their human body's requirement of energy and reduces the water content also in the body and go into a sleep mode for 6 to 8 months in the winter. So that is a kind of preservation. But when it comes to other animals, like you can see tiger, lion, or like human beings like us, we eat more during winter time. We drink more in summer. This you can keep 1 year study. You just see that now we are in monsoon season in Kerala. Gradually we move to December, November, where winter is not there, but still the temperature is little lower. Then at that time we drink less, we eat more. Then when it comes to summer, we will be drinking more water, but eating will be less. Or in another way, you can just ask the people who are doing the catering, the food serving people. I mean, when the people who serve food in the season for marriages and other things, when you ask them how you judge the food required for packs, so based on the time of the year, they decide how much food a person is going to eat. So winter season, they put more food, but in summer season, they will reduce the quantity of the food they people eat. So this is a general thing. Without knowing anything about our air conditioning, they tell from their experience. So you can also look into that. That's a kind of long-term observation, how people or animals eat more or less based on the community. This is more visible in places like Delhi, where we actually have a severe winter in northern part of India, which comes 4 degree, 5 degree, right from say November all the way to February, March. And then there is a summer which continues. So we can actually see in winter season, people eat more. Summer season, we also eat less. It will be more visible here. Maybe less visible in places like Kerala, which is more of a mild winter. But these are various ways our body maintains the air conditioner. So these are the observations which we can see. See the air conditioner, what we understanding is the mechanical air conditioner, but that is plays a role in our daily life also. The way we live, how our human body is adapted over a period of time. Any other addition into these points from your side, your thought process?
When in winter our metabolism slows down, right, because of cold temperatures, so digestion also slows, right? So if digestion slows, we won't be feeling hungry, right?
No, actually, I'll just clarify again. In people like us who are living in not in the polar region, normal human beings or animals which are awake for 365 days, our metabolic rate increases in the winter. What I was talking about metabolism going down is only for polar bear or animal which tends to sleep for 6 months, 8 months. I mean, the winter, they completely sleep away. And in the summer, they wakes up because the summer may be -20, winter may be -60, -40. And for them. But people who has got a plus temperature, living in plus temperature, that means more than 0 degrees Celsius or summer goes plus more than 20 degrees Celsius. These kind of people and animals, we eat more in winter, we eat less in summer, we drink more in summer and less in winter. Drink, that is because we are sweating internally. We are sweating. Places like Kerala, actually sweat comes out and you feel drenched. And when humidity is less, like Delhi, people are sweating, but they don't realize it. It gets evaporated very fast. So metabolism rate for human beings increases in winter. That is one of the reasons we eat more, or we can say our body wants more food. So we feel hungry more, we eat more. That metabolism is used to maintain the body temperature. So I'll tell you one, like the observation, like if you visit a zoo in the northern part of India, Delhi or any other places, maybe Rajasthan, Delhi, Chandigarh, these kind of places, Lucknow, above that region. If you visit a zoo, there is a board which is kept like from November to March, say X kilogram of meat for a tiger, for example, and for minus kilogram. It is displayed there. Like even for animals also, the zookeepers provide more food during winter. And in summer, the food is reduced, but they may given more water to drink. So it's generally warm-blooded animals. We are the same thing. The body maintains in a similar way.
Okay, sir.
Right. So next, so this is an observation which you can keep in mind. This will help to understand many things what happens in our body also. Not everything in our body is purely chemical. Something is related to air conditioning part also. Now let's see what are the applications of air conditioning. Any other than what we see is air conditioning. Let's see, what we understand is air conditioning means movement of energy with an external help from one part to other part. So what will be the applications of this air conditioning?
So you're trying to ask that where all they are used?
Yes, types, applications. Where like human body, what we are explaining, the naturally occurring air conditioning. What is the other part, the man-made application? Or usage, you can say, usage of air conditioning.
Sir, even in cooling units to keep products at freezing point, like frozen meat and all.
Yes. Preservation of food.
Yes, sir.
Preservation of food, that will increase the life of a produce. Like an apple, for apple, it's a produce naturally produced by the apple tree. So if it is maintained at a normal temperature, it may be there for few days. But if you maintain the apple at a different condition, maybe at a lower temperature with a certain level of humidity, many more months, so its life can be increased. So apple's life, any produce naturally produce, which is vegetables, fruits, meat, all this life can be extended. So we can store it when it is available, and we can use it when we require it. Yes. So that is a very good application. That is, it's like.
Next one.
Yeah, Prana, you can tell.
So I was saying we will also use in condensing milk.
Yes. So that is a way of extending the life of milk. Preservation.
Yes. Oh, same.
Okay. So in application point of view, it is preservation of food, or you can say increase the life of that produce. for human consumption, for us, like to use it without actually before or without it getting damaged. Because if you keep an apple in outside, after a few days, we cannot call it as an apple. It will be a rotten apple. It will further, it changes its basic nature itself. It cannot be used. So preservation and increasing the life of that produce, that is, yes, that is where we can use air conditioning. So in this case, we can call it as controlled atmosphere in general, or in a layman's language, we can call it as refrigeration. Simple. I mean, if it is a produce, but the basic principle is same. We are removing or we are creating an atmosphere around the apple where it is kept, so that apple will not become rotten or any produce will not become rotten.
Yes, sir.
So
Thank
the
you.
principle is same. Yes, that is one of the application. Any other application you can think about it?
Sir, in vehicle?
Vehicle.
Yeah, like in cars and all.
Yes, that is air conditioning. That is maintaining a comfortable temperature in and around us, wherever we are living. So that is directly what people associate with air conditioning. That is one other reason we can have a skyscrapers like Burj Khalifa, which has gone all the way to 800 meters, because we can maintain a temperature irrespective of a high wind which will be coming out of the individuals. We can live under the water in submarines. We can live in space stations. All this is possible because we are able to manage the air around us. So that is air conditioning. That is general making comfortable air conditioning to make humans comfortable.
Okay, sir.
Any other applications? Just think what happens when we use air conditioning in a reverse way. Suppose if you want heat, can it give heating?
Can it be for cooking as well?
Yeah, I mean, cooking also we need heat. So the general, let us keep it in the general terms. Can air conditioning be used for heating? I mean, you can say
Maybe.
yes or no. Like other students also, Tarun and other thing. Is yes or no can be an answer. I mean, your opinions.
Yes, yes.
Yes. What is Manu Shankar?
I think yes.
But my answer is yes.
Yes. Yes. So my answer is also yes. So let us just summarize what we have discussed. So what we can use air conditioning for cooling. In our essential application, we can use air conditioning for heating also. The air conditioning can be used in cold climatic zones for heating when the ambient temperature is less than 15 degrees Celsius. It is not comfortable for human beings. So it can be used for heating. It can be used for preservation, extending the life of producers. It can be used in display cases, cake, pastries, which is man-made foods, but still life can be extended. That includes vaccines, medicines, all these can be used. Transportation, extending the life without damaging, we can extend it to a longer place. We can move the foods from one end of the world to other side of the world. It can be used for heating. It can be used to produce hot water or hot water. This is something which generally used, but we don't see it. Normally, we see electric based geysers in our homes, but when you go to hotel applications where the quantity of hot water required is very high, every room required. So air conditioning can be used for generating hot water. The principle remains same. Let us see what difference between air conditioning in cooling and heating. So on the left hand side is what we see generally what understand as air conditioning, where it cools. The general understanding of air conditioning, that's something which cools is air conditioning. And we associate refrigerator, ice cream, or low temperature is called air conditioning. So let us keep that understanding same for the time being. So we take heat from a area, we reject the heat outside, and we use a motor, we use a refrigerant which moves in a closed loop. So it absorbs heat, goes all the way, reject heat, comes back, absorb heat. If you reverse it, if you keep what we say as air conditioning other way, that means if we want to use the heat, it is rejected. That become a heating application. So it rejects coldness to the outside and it comes and takes it. So
Sir,
it's a very
I had seen one video in which they had shown outdoor cooling.
yes. That is when happens when inside room is supposed to be heated up. So the refrigeration cycle remains same. The hot air which is coming from outside, that is what we are taking into the room. So generally then the outside inside that get reversed up in this case. There is no change in the properties of air, the principles of air conditioning. That remains same. The usage, whether we are using the cool air or the hot air side, that is the only thing that matters. So air conditioning can be used for managing the air. So it can be heating, it can be cooling also. It can be for, if you further generalize it, it is air conditioning is managing the temperature of a medium. It can be water, it can be air, it can be any other thing. The water decrease the temperature of the water.
So,
Yeah.
So could you say that a room heater, like they use in very cold places, is it cooling, like heating device?
See, heater, there are in general there are 3 type of heaters generally available in a comfort application. One is called the normal electric heater, which is like an electrical heater where there is a coil which is there. So the coil will heat up. So it is like a geyser coil. Electricity is directly passed through a coil. The coil get heated up. So this heat energy get transferred to the room through the convection and radiation, both aspects, and room get heated up gradually. So one drawback is, since the coil which is getting heated up, it is heating to a high temperature, it burns away all the oxygen. So a heater which is exposed in the room is not preferred or suggested for comfort applications. But that is one of the low-priced heaters available for heating application. The second option is called oil heater. So in oil heater is there is an electrical heater which is immersed in a oil. So this heater will heats up the oil. Oil will circulate through the room through in a closed area. Let me see whether I can get a photo from internet. Yeah, this is generally called the oil heater. So this is called the fins. So there is a heater coil inside and there is an oil bank oil. So when oil is getting heated, naturally, when the temperature increases, the viscosity reduces, volume increases. So there is a natural tendency of movement of oil. So the oil moves, the hotter oil moves, and these are fins. Like this is like this, you can see. These are fins. So oil moves, then it falls down by cooling. It comes back to the sump, then it gets heated up, it rises up more. So this is called oil heater. So in oil heating, the coil, the electric coil is not exposed to high temperature coil is not exposed to the air. So the oxygen is not consumed. So these oil heaters will increase the room temperature, but oxygen is not reduced. So these heaters are generally preferred in rooms. And the third option is air conditioning only, but air conditioning using in the reverse cycle. The third option of heating is this option, where actually the air conditioning remains in this condenser and evaporator are interchangeable by way of connecting these pipes through a four-way system, right? In cooling time, the compressor, the hot gas comes here and goes like this, where room remains cool. In winter season, the compressor that comes out will come and connect to this pipe, will pass through here and go back to this room, this compressor. So this will become hotter, this become cooler. So it is called reverse heat pump or reverse cycle in general terms. So same air conditioning, by moving of refrigerant from evaporator to condenser and condenser evaporator, we can use air conditioning as a heating application in the winter season also. So heating, generally there are three options normally used for heating in heating applications.
Sir, is there any image of this reverse air conditioning? Like a device that uses reverse air conditioning?
The system looks like air conditioning only. It is the same air conditioner what we see in our homes. The same air conditioner. Only thing, there is no change in looking. Only thing, there is a option of, there is a, you can say, in heating, instead of the compressor, the refrigerant goes into this side, it will come to this side. So there is a valve which changes the flow of refrigerant, whether it should flow to this side or this side. So it looks like same. Yeah, you can say a four-way valve. Let me just see four-way valve. I can explain through images.
Sir, suppose normally the AC will face inside of the room. So if we fix the AC outdoor and put the like the pipe which lets hot air go out inside, then will that do it?
So what happens is, like in cooling, okay, I'll explain this there. So in this light, the refrigerant moves in this direction. So this is the AC. This is a part of AC which is inside the room. This is the part of AC which is outside the room. So the refrigerant comes, it absorbs the heat, or the room, that means the room become cooler. Comes and the compressor increases the temperature and pressure. It comes out. It rejects the heat into the atmosphere. It comes back to absorb more heat. This is the cooling side aspects of it. In terms of heating, this aroma turns, you can say, other way. This remains here itself because all this AC is already installed. The refrigerant rotates in the reverse way. It moves like this. From compressor, it comes here. So I'll say, so compressor, the refrigerant comes, so whatever comes out of compressor is a high temperature, high pressure. When it comes into this side, which is inside the room, this rejects that extra heat into the room. So the room becomes hotter. Then it goes back. When it comes to the ambient condition, it tries to absorb the heat from the ambient, or it become cooler. The refrigerant become further little cooler here because ambient is cooler at that time in there. So outside temperature, our outside unit will throw cool air outside, more cooler air outside. Then this will comes back. So refrigerant will reverse the rotation. So it is called the reverse cycle for heating. Same air conditioning, same system. Only thing, the flow of refrigerant changes. I hope I try to make it the same. It will be continuing in either way, and this become heater. And that heat energy we can use for our process generation, for hotel applications, hot water for cooking aspects, or hot air for.
Sir,
Yeah.
is this kind
heat pump? The reverse cycle air conditioning is called as heat pumps.
of
Heat pump is in generally 3 times more efficient than direct electric based heating. Like if I say, if we use an electric heating to heat water from 0 to 100 degrees Celsius, if we use a compressor based or heat pump to heat the same water, it consumes 1/3 of the energy. So this is these heat pumps are used mainly in hotel application because a bigger installation basis is there. Hot water is required mostly for in factories where hot water, hot air, all these are required. So heat pumps are used. Boiler, which is a normal way directly by burning petrol, diesel, wood. Boilers are used to generate steam, which is natural resources, which is cheap and easily available. But this adds to our greenhouse effects. It adds more pollution, availability, everything is there. So if electricity is produced from natural resources like wind or renewable energy is available, using heat pump to produce hot water, hot air is much more efficient.
Okay.
So this is what we call the general understanding of air conditioning. So already Sadish has told about the assignment completed at what different type of air conditioning. So I just wonder what are the different type of air conditioning?
So are you asking me?
Yes, yeah, and others also.
Sir, I actually wrote like on the basis of where it is used and all.
Yes.
Like I have told, like in houses, we mainly use wall mounted air conditioners, like which are on the top. And in offices and some like international schools, we use centralized air conditioner.
Yes.
And in my school, actually, there is even ceiling cassette. That's why I
Cassette.
put that.
Ceiling
Yes.
cassette.
Yeah, ceiling
Yes.
cassette. And then I also put like portable air conditioners, like which are easily, you can shift it from one place to another. Then
Yes.
I also mentioned about condensing and cooling tower and all.
Centralized air conditioning.
Yes,
Correct.
that's all I
So
mentioned.
yeah, so what you have told is correct. So it's called window air conditioner, where complete air conditioning system is enclosed in one box. So
Yes.
in a window air conditioner, this is what we see from outside. This is what we see from inside. The entire air conditioning is in one box. It is called window because it is installed through a window. You create a window in the wall, put the complete system of air conditioner. This is called a split air conditioner. Split means it is split as a two parts. The condenser and the evaporator is split. It is connected through a copper pipe. So if you put it another way, the condenser, this part is the bigger box, condenser, compressor, all this comes into one big box. Then the refrigerant is transported to the evaporator through a pipe. Yeah, you're asking me something.
So which is cheaper, window or the split one?
See, the window becomes cheaper because the total material used for the construction is less.
Oh, okay.
The split is costly because if you see in window in one box, condenser, evaporator, compressor, motor, one motor which runs two fans, everything is condensed into one box. So it is to be cheaper. When it comes to split, we are splitting. So condenser, one motor for the condenser air to move and the compressor in one box, and the evaporator with another motor and another fan for the inside the room. So split. We split the air conditioner into two parts. So this is called split air conditioner. That is the reason it is called split. But the principle remains same. The refrigerant moves from evaporator to compressor to condenser and comes back that way. Then the other what you called is the centralized air conditioning. So okay, before coming to that, you also explained about the cassette. So what happens is like this indoor unit shape can be varied. Various kind of shapes we can put. So based on the shapes, we call it as cassette or ceiling mounted, wall mounted, ceiling concealed, different name. But the principles of air conditioning or that remains same. Only the type of indoor unit varies to suit to the interior design.
So, sir, mainly how many types are there?
See, mainly the in generally in different, we can say window and split type of in air conditioning. And
Oh,
the third option, window split and centralized air conditioning. Three ways we can split in general. Within split, based on indoor unit, there are different names, but all falls into one category called split air conditioners.
yes.
What happens in centralized air conditioning is like, for example, like if we let us take a 10-story building. One option is that we can keep every room either a window AC or there's a split AC. But if suppose the floor is very big, there are rooms in the center of the building, which is, and that room is surrounded by other multiple rooms. It is very difficult for heat energy to reject to atmosphere. It has to travel all the way to the end of the buildings. And when we extend the piping between these two units, the efficiency drops because the compressor has to have the capacity to pump the refrigerant all the way to maybe 10 meter, 30 meter, sometimes 100 meters for the heat rejection, because heat has to be finally rejected to atmosphere. There is no other option. So in that kind of complex areas, we can use a centralized air conditioning. So what means centralized air conditioning is the air conditioning part which will remain is the core. So the core part is the compressor, the evaporator, and the condenser. So this is remains the core. The condenser, instead of rejecting the heat to the atmosphere, it gives away the refrigerant will pass the heat energy to water. And we can use an external pump, normal water pump, to push this water all the way to a cooling tower, which will be installed maybe at the top of the building, outside the building. Water is a non-compressible liquid. The advantage of non-compressible or water being a liquid and difficult to change phase in atmospheric conditions, we can move water for a long distance without much loss of energy. So water absorbs heat here. We just push the water, circulate the water over a longer distance wherever it is possible to reject the water through cooling tower to atmosphere. So here what happens in cooling tower is called evaporative cooling. The same cooling what we have seen in a mud pot.
Will the
So,
water get evaporated?
pardon me?
Will the water get evaporated? No, right?
Yes, here the water get evaporated in the cooling tower, because in the cooling tower what happens is like water is allowed to fall against the gravity. From the top it just falls down. So when water falls down, if fan is used to move the air through the water, so when the outside ambient high temperature air moves through the water, some part of the water get evaporated. Around 4 to 5% of water get evaporated. So when water evaporates, it takes heat from the remaining water. So the water which remains will be cooler than the atmosphere. That water further comes back to condenser and take the heat away. So this happens in the cooling tower side.
Sir, but isn't water an expensive refrigerant?
Water is the cheaply available and one of the cheapest available liquid in the world.
Oh, okay.
So here, between condenser, evaporator, and the compressor, the refrigerant moves within a closed cycle like a window AC. There you can say it's like a window AC, a centralized air conditioning system. But the condenser reject heat to the water. Then water we can move long distance wherever it is possible in a building. Like if you see in a Burj Khalifa, there is no cooling tower directly seen there. If you see, or any big building, so that we can transport water to a longer distance wherever it is comfortable and we have a space and we have a large water available for evaporative cooling. The same part is used in the other side where the evaporator is there, which used to be the cool air which comes out. Instead of the cool air will cool the water, this water is circulated through a pump and this water is moved into the room, and inside the room these kind of indoor units or indoor unit which is like a cassette unit, sometimes ceiling concealed, we can only see a kind of grill, like these kind of grills only visible if you see into shopping malls and other things, where the cool air comes out. So there the water transfers its cool energy into the air and air comes out into the room. So centralized air conditioning is kind of air conditioning where we call centralized because the refrigerant part is centered in one part of the building. Energy rejection happens or energy absorption happens based on our requirement. The complexities of whatever you're seeing in this screen is all other type of air conditioner. Basically, all type of air conditioner can be fit into these categories. Within one single unit called window air conditioner, you just split into two. There is an option like one condenser with multiple, you can have multiple indoor units or multiple evaporators. Then the centralized unit becomes, so this becomes the centralized system. So these are various kind of air conditioning. So next time when you go out, just look around the places how the air conditioning works or what kind of air conditioning you see, and try to identify where the heat is rejected, where the cool energy is absorbed, like that. With that basis, any further questions and no further slides in and into that. That summarizes generally the usage of air conditioning, the principles of air conditioning, how it is. Thank you.
Sir, you told that how temperature is controlled in human body and in some animals.
Yeah.
Then I have heard that elephants control their heat by like moving their
Yes.
yes. So is it the only thing they do to control their temperature?
Okay. It's like see, that is way of moving the air because elephant sweat glands are different. Very rarely, if you see, normally people eat most of the animals' meat, but elephant meat is very, very less eaten unless otherwise it is too critical. Human meat, because it sweats inside. That is what it's called. Elephant sweat glands are inside the human body. Into that, so it moves the air by the big ears, continuously flapping. And its skins, it does that. So through the skin, it actually it's not sweating. There is no water comes out of it, but because of the air movement, it still become cooler. Not fully an evaporative cooling happens like our human bodies. The sweat glands of elephants are a little different. So different animals evolved in a different ways. So if you see a London's Natural History Museum, I mean, you can Google it and see. You can see all elephants with big furs, like the animals in the cold climatic zones. So elephants in evolutionary cycle used to be there in cold climatic zones also. But then over a period of time, elephants ceased to exist in cold climatic zones. Whatever elephants currently, what we are seeing is in hot climatic like Africa, India. We are more into the tropical zones. Yeah, so it needs air movement because air becomes stagnant. So they move the air through their body by continuously flapping, and the blood vessels in their ears that gets cools down. So basically, the refrigerant in our body is our blood. I mean, other than many other activities, our blood acts as a refrigerant. It moves temperature from inside our organs and other things to the skin, our peripheral part of the body to reject it. So one of the yoga also, like we are warm-blooded animals, human beings. So our exhalation is hot. If you just keep it, so that is one other way of body rejecting the heat also, because our blood carries along with oxygen, carbon dioxide, and other thing. It comes to lungs, and the air which we breathe in will change the temperature inside the lungs because it absorbs the heat and then it rejects also. So there are many ways into doing the body temperature. I explained things which are easy to see, like sweating.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just one more thing I like to add, like in one of the yoga, if body temperature is high, they say to breathe by closing your mouth like this. That is one part of the yoga. So when you reduce your mouth into small and breathe in, the air which goes into the lungs become much more cooler, so that it can reject more heat. So some human beings, during summer season, they have a problem in their skins with rashes coming out, other thing, because that body is not able to reject the heat which is actually generated inside the body, because ambient is already more hotter. The sweat glands are not really developed. So that's a part of human, or you cannot say different humans, different way of sweat glands developing. So that is one of the yoga part. So you further cool down the air you breathe. So this is the same principle what we had shown, ha and who. When you reduce the space where the air movement is there, when it expands, it cools. So when we reduce the space through which we breathe in, moment it gets into our mouth and into lungs, it will be much more cooler. It can absorb more heat. So these are various ways. So elephant example is, I'm just telling, different animals got evolved in a different way. Human beings also, artificially, we can further use our breathing as one of the point of heating or rejecting the heat. Metabolism is one of the other thing which generally we can see across animals which are awake for 365 days. That goes. Any other questions? So in that case, last time we had a question: what happens when we keep the refrigerator open? So nobody's answered. The general logical answer is that the room will get heated up.
Sir, I would also say that the refrigerator would get spoiled.
That is a practical answer. Refrigerator gets spoiled. But yeah, that isn't. From an air conditioning point of view, the room will get heated up when the refrigerator door is open. So with that, just keep your eyes and ears open, observe it, learn from the observations, right from human body to wherever you visit, travel. And one of the assignments after discussing, I want to give you is how the air conditioning works in a aircraft. So thank you very much. Thank you all.